Welcome back to CHG podcast, guys. David, say hi.
Hi.
All right, here's a treat. Good boy. um, welcome back, guys. This is RJ, and that's David over there. We're part of CHG, and this is our weekly video game podcast where we kind of just spit the shit on just gaming, general gaming topics, or the gaming industry as a whole or at large. And we have a fun one this week, a fun main discussion this week that David brought up to my attention earlier today because I was wasn't sure what to talk about, and I was kind of brainstorming with David, and he was, how about this? And I was like, you know what? I already got some opinions on that, so that works. But anyways, guys, for anyone who doesn't know, we start off talking about what we're playing. Either for us is usually just off camera, but when I have, sometimes it can be on camera for the channel or off camera. But yeah, I'll start off first. Borderlands is finally done. I put it on my shelf. It is finally done. Borderlands 1 remaster or Game of the Year edition for the PS4 and Xbox One. I finally was done. I've been holding off on. What was holding me up was last week or the week whenever we did this last. I was telling you that I was farming one of the raid boss from the third DLC to get these pearlescent weapons, and I was looking for the SMG. And so I had to keep redoing that boss over and over again, and I finally got it, which was great. But what's not great is that the version I got was actually not that good. So I actually couldn't even really use it. I couldn't really even use it because so I was level 69, which is max level, and all the enemies
nice.
Nice. All the enemies I was fighting were about my level, if maybe plus or minus 2 of my level, and the gun I found was level 67, and it just wasn't. I thought it was gonna. I mean, I think if I had found it at different circumstances, it would have been a beast. But the way I found it, where I was at in the game, it was under leveled. Like, it wasn't doing much damage at all. But it was dope as shit to have, and I could say I had it. So, and in the midst of that, I ended up getting like 3 other pearlescent weapons. And so I was like, hey, at least I got like 4 now. That was cool. And so I finished up that DLC, wrapped up the last DLC with Claptrap, and then I finally put it away. And so now I am playing. I'm going back to that puzzle game I mentioned some weeks ago called Relicta. It's a first-person puzzle game, and it is boring as shit. And I am regretting buying it so much. I didn't know it was a puzzle game. I knew it was a first-person game. Didn't know it was a puzzle game, and I didn't know it was going to be this mundane. Like, oh my gosh, it is so. I mean, I don't like puzzle games or puzzles in games to begin with, but yeah, this was just a whole nother level. I mean, here's the problem though: the story that they're presenting is actually kind of interesting. I kind of dig the bits of story that get sprinkled in with the narrative and everything. I do kind of like it, but the gameplay in between all those narrative bits is such a slog. And but I'm following this puzzle guide as I'm playing along, because I was trying to see how far I could go, and I got maybe, I don't know, a fourth or a third of the way through, and I was just like, you know what, I don't have the patience for this. So I'm following a puzzle guide, and I'm more than halfway done with the game, probably the 2/3. And so it's coming to it's itching its way towards, but like, I can't even play this game for like long periods of time, maybe a couple hours at most, and before I just get too fucking bored. And so it's gonna take a while to finally finish this because I'm playing it in bits. But in the meantime, I'm also juggling that with I started up WRC, World Rally Car Championship, the 4th one. We're at the 10th one, and I'm playing the 4th one. But I'm trying to play all of them up till 10. I'm playing all the ones that you can get the platinum trophy in. So I played 3 earlier this year, and then I finally got 4, and I'm going to be just going on my way till I get to 10. And I'm kind of also doing that with the F1 series as well. They're not bad games. I mean, it's definitely, it's what it is, and it's fine. And I don't mind racing games. They're really good, chill games for me that you can kind of just turn your brain off, and such. And so, and the WRC series is known to have like really simple trophy lists. So you don't have to, it doesn't like make you play on like the hardest difficulty and all that shit. So I get to do what I do best and play on easy mode. And so I've been doing that, and then of course I'm still chugging along slowly but painfully with Crash 4 Platinum Trials.
Nice.
Are you still playing Hades? Or are you not playing anything at all,
No,
or
so
what you doing?
I'm giving Hades a break because I have. So I don't know last time where I was at, but I made it out with every weapon.
Okay.
And I was just trying to like finish the the storyline and get all the hearts of everybody and unlock all the secret aspects of the weapons, which are like so each weapon has different aspects and it's all like Greek. So it's like the aspect of Hades or whatever in each weapon. And then they have secret aspects, which are non-Greek people. So like the gun that you get, because you get like a gun kind of thing.
A gun.
Yeah, the secret aspect is the secret aspect of Lucifer. So it's like Lucifer's gun. And it
Interesting.
basically becomes a laser gun.
What?
And then they have like this Beowulf and
Beowulf.
they have an
Okay.
Indian god for the bow. So I did all that, but it was pretty much just run after run. So I took a break. I checked out Riders Republic.
Oh yeah, the new Ubisoft, the Steep 2.0 as they're
Yeah,
calling it.
pretty good. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. So like, I got that a couple days before Forza 5 came out.
Yeah, Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah,
Guys,
Forza
not
Horizon
Forza
5.
5.
I booted
Forza
that
5 came out
up.
like 5 years ago.
I booted that up, and it looks amazing, but I don't want to play it because okay, so like,
Are you, besides GT, are you a big racing fan anyways?
Yeah.
Besides Gran
Yeah, I
Turismo?
played all the Forzas. I played all the Horizons. I love them. But like, so what they did differently on this one that they did differently on the other Horizons is the other Horizons, you went to this festival, but you were like an unknown person. So you started off with like a shit car.
Yeah, you rise up.
And you rise up.
Mm-hmm.
They took the opposite approach to this one.
You're a badass right from the get-go.
You are the dude. Like you're
the guy.
You're literally the main attraction of the festival. So you start off with 2021 or 22 Corvette, like the new Corvette.
22? What the?
Yeah, like the new Corvette. You start off with a new Corvette. Right. You start off with a new Bronco. You start off with a new Supra.
Wait, they still make those?
Yeah, they just introduced a new Supra.
I was saying, I think they stopped making it for like a while. Yeah, but they're bringing it back. They brought back the Supras.
Yeah, it's dope. It is a really nice car. Anyway, they give you a free rally car right off the bat, like a good ass rally car, and I'm just like, oh, so I have everything now. Like
you already won the game. You already beat the game.
Like,
I turned it on, did it.
Obviously, there's races to do, and you can argue that it doesn't really matter what car you start off with, because obviously if you start off with a shit car, you're still racing against other shit cars. If you have a good car, you're going to be racing against good cars. But I don't know. It didn't grab me this time. And I think also I had Riders Republic where there's so much skill involved in Riders Republic. At least in the downhill. So my favorite thing that I've done a little bit of like the trick elements of it, which is pretty well done. But most of what I've done is the downhill racing is a lot of fun. Like just learning like the paths that you have to take and like getting like it, like when you can accelerate, when you have to brake, when you have to just let off, and like the lines to take is a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. And if you go into first person mode,
there's an FPS mode.
Yeah, there's a first person mode.
Whoa.
And the feeling of speed is crazy. Like I like they do this wind noise that like makes it feel like you're really like zipping. And like, and I'm just like weaving in and out, and like it's a lot of fun. I think that I hope that that people stick with it and it's supported and stuff, because It's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it.
I have some questions for that game because it's a sports game, it's a racing game, or it's
mm,
more of an extreme sports game and a
mm,
racing game, right? So those are two things I like. So I was curious about it. Not enough for me to buy it because I don't like all the social connectivity bullshit. But I wanted to ask you, if you're playing by yourself, can you play by yourself, or if you're in a race, are you always
yes.
playing with other people?
Okay, so this was an interesting thing that I was wondering too. From what I have noticed, what it is you are playing against representations of people who have ran that race, but not necessarily live. So, um, like, let's say I ran a race and it records my time, and I ran it in 2 minutes and 36 seconds or whatever, right? And I did it on expert level because I've been running anywhere from expert to elite difficulty level. So I don't know how they graded out, but it's real people and they're real paths that they took. But it's also in a like I can bump into them. I don't know how they do it. It must be some crazy AI shit. Because I've noticed that if you restart the race, you're with the same people and they take the same lines. But I can hit a guy and he can go off course. I don't know how they correct after that. Like maybe then it does AI until it gets back onto the course and then they continue to run the line that the actual person did. But it seems like it's that mixture. Like in between AI,
Hmm.
but taking into consideration what the actual person did.
It's like using time trial ghosts, but mixing
But
AI into it.
interactive, like
Yeah,
because like
but
I
more
can hit
dynamic.
them. Yeah, I
So
can hit them.
they must have used. I mean, yeah, they're not ghosts, but it uses time trials from. Or I'm using time trial because that's just the easiest thing for me
No, no, yeah,
to
yeah.
say.
No,
But like
I get what you're saying.
but it's using players like trials times or paths that they took, and then making it more dynamic to where
Yeah,
if they go off course for whatever reason, they can still it won't just shut down the character and it is done. Um,
yeah. It's a
that is
lot of fun.
interesting,
Like
but
and like I said, we'll share whenever you hook up your Xbox, we'll do game share and you can play it. Well, no, that's not on Game Pass, so never mind. Never mind. I take that back.
it's fine. It's fine. All right,
Hold
cool.
up.
I was curious because I do like it. I like the
I think
play
you would enjoy
snowboarding and
it.
all that
I
stuff.
think you would enjoy it.
It just of
Um,
course Ubisoft has been huge on all these social connecting games, so and I
yeah,
was just like I don't want to have to be playing with other people. I just want to
yeah,
play solo a
yeah.
lot of the time.
There's no kind of weirdness to it. Like it looks like it's like yeah, there's people populating and people will be going all over the place, but it's not. It helps to fill the world,
Mm.
um, and I think it's done in a way that is good. But give me 1 second, my computer's about to die, so I gotta get my.
Uh-oh. Real quick, I was also gonna say
Mm,
about we're talking about Forza, right?
yeah,
Um okay, so Need for Speed Most Wanted from 2005. Everyone knows that game. People fucking love that game, right?
yeah.
It's the best
The
game
best
since
one besides
Underground.
Underground, yeah,
Near Underground 2. If not, it's better for some people, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, did you play the reboot for
No,
2013?
didn't
All
touch it.
right,
I heard it
so
was bad, but I didn't
I
touch it.
have it. I played it. I did everything, right? My brother played before me and he told me about it and he said he went like one night and he was done, right? Kind of like you, booted it up and he was like, I'm done. And I think part of the reason his criticism was similar to yours about Forza. Now, it's not, there's no festival or anything, but in that game, and I don't know how the original was because I didn't have a 360 and or a PS2 at the time, and it didn't come out for PS3. I don't know. I never played it. So, but so correcting. So if this is the same, let me know. But in the
Mm,
reboot, you start off the game. You start off the game with some bomb ass car, right?
mm,
And not only that, but like you can find because like the way you get new cars is to find them. They're just chilling in certain spots in the city. That's how they did it. You didn't unlock cars, well, you unlock like the boss cars, but like other cars you just found. So you can start the game. and then you can play like if you got lucky, you just took the right turn, you could find a fucking Lamborghini just chilling, like right away. So you can end up getting cars that are way better than you have any right to be using from like an hour or two into the game. And so my brother was like, yeah, like this is dumb. Like that's not how I want to progress in the game. That's not real progression. That's not what I like. And I played it and I was like, yeah, I can see what he's talking about. I still played it just out of, I guess, principle. But I have to agree, yeah, like there's not a really good sense of progression in that game. And the fact that you start off with a pretty decent car from the get-go is kind of like you're like, what's the point? Right? Like I want to be able to feel accomplishment and progression and start with a crap beater and then get to the Lamborghini afterwards, you know? That's why games do that, because people like that. No
Yeah.
one wants to start off as the badass and then because where are you supposed to go? Go back to the bottom? Who wants that? Like you know? So yeah, I get. But I wanted to mention that you saying that reminded me of that game as probably why it got panned. Well, it wasn't panned. It it was like average at best. Those were like the official reviews that I saw. But I'm sure the gamers actually were just like, yeah, this is shit. Especially since it shares the same name as a fucking cult classic of a title.
For sure.
Yeah, it's not that great. But anyways, let's move on. So the next segment of the podcast here, guys, is where we just talk about some fun little question, and I got one that's going to be somewhat related to the main topic. So we've been gamers for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting towards the older millennials age range. Well, you are because you're older than me, but so we've been gaming for a long time. We've been through what 4 generations where we actually understood what was going on, like the gaming shifts. About. I mean, there's probably like 5 or 6, but we didn't know what the fuck was going on. And all those years of gaming, all the generation gaps we've been through. What was a game? It could be any game, any generation, where you really felt that wonder, that awe that you were in the next gen, of whatever gen that was. What was a game or two that made you really take like you're just like, oh my, jeez, man, like holy crap. And you're just like, gleeful. You're not gleeful, just you're full of glee. You're just you feel like a kid in Christmas. You know what I mean? Like you're just so happy to be playing this because you're feeling like, my gosh, this really is something I've never had before.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
What was that for you?
Pretty easy for me. It was
Madden 08.
yeah. No, it was the first like several moments of Elder Scrolls Skyrim. After you get out, after like the first encounter, even the first encounter with the dragon was pretty crazy, but like when you get out of that underground and you like get out into the forest for the first time and you're looking around, and because they do a great job of the score kind of rises as you're seeing everything, and you're the vista is real like beautiful looking. Like that was like, I knew in that moment that I was playing something special. I don't know if necessarily that was next gen, because I think honestly like every time next gen kind of sputters out the gate, like it doesn't realize its full potential, right away.
And I should preface what your answer doesn't have to be necessarily based on graphics.
Yeah.
It can just be based on just the size, the presence, the mechanics, the whatever.
But I would still say that Elder Scrolls was like when I realized that games could be this massive and like open and stuff. So
like I mean, you can still say, because like that game they came out 2011, so about 3-4 years into that generation cycle, and that's fine for you to feel like this is a next gen moment for me. Knowing that like there is absolutely no way that the original Xbox or PS2 could do this. Not in this, even though Skyrim's graphics are crap, and they were crap for 2011 too.
Well, like, okay, so like the crazy thing is that like Oblivion came out on the 360.
I know, that's what I was going to ask you,
and like
about
Skyrim is better in every way.
Now, if you compare, okay, I'm sure it's better than Elder Scrolls 4. It has to be, but you know what I mean. It's just comparatively to other games of its ilk, they definitely don't put graphics above like gameplay and story and lore you know, which is fine. It's just I'm just taking a jab at him. Um, but yeah, I mean, I never played Skyrim, and put your pitchforks down, everybody. But yeah, I never played Skyrim, never played Elder Scrolls. But I knew, right? It was one of those few games that had a buzz level like just unmatched amongst like only certain games get a hype that hard. You know, like Skyrim was one, Diablo 3 was another one. Um, Probably Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, I would probably put up there. If not for the hype, but just the reception afterwards. Um, and then before Cyberpunk came out, there was Cyberpunk. um, Probably even Last of Us. I put maybe even Last of Us
Yeah, Last
might
of
go
Us
up
was
there too.
another one where I was like this is something special. Like for me, I think the real cool, like odd, like jaw dropping moments is not at the beginning of a console's lifespan, but the end of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
what they did with Last of Us, they did at the end of the PlayStation 3's life cycle. They were able to get everything out of the
Yeah,
PlayStation
wasn't it
3.
like the when did the Wii come out? Wait, I'm trying to think because the Wii U came out a year before Xbox One and PS4, but I don't remember the year. Was PS4 and Xbox One 2013 or was it 14?
I can't remember by now.
Because I think it was 13 because I was being confused of why so many like really good big exclusives for Sony were coming out the same year the system was out. So I think it was 2013 because we got Last of Us, we got um we got Ratchet and Clank into the Nexus. We had Tomb Raider. Well, I know they're not exclusive, but still a big budget game right before the cycles end. And I think there was I don't know why I'm thinking. Oh, Beyond Two Souls.
Mm.
Those all came out 2013, and Beyond Two Souls came out like a month or two before the console was before the PS4 even came out. But anyways, yeah. But Skyrim was definitely like it was there, man. Like you couldn't. I was never big on high fantasy, especially then. That just wasn't my thing. But I had to give it respect, right? It deserved it. It was insane to just watch everyone else play that game. Like that was the game where like kept you from doing anything else in your life. You know what I mean? Like it's terrible, but it's true. And people who have played it since or now or whatever, they know. Um, but with the anniversary edition coming out soon for the next gen consoles,
Play it
I'm
for the
thinking
first
about actually
time.
picking that up.
That'd be pretty cool.
All because the loading times I'm hoping will be a lot less because
Oh
that
yeah, on the
loading screen to get
PlayStation
into the
5,
game
yeah.
that loading screen to get into the game is molasses,
That's
bro. I've seen
yeah,
it. Like
that's solid state
and I can't
will
handle
help
it.
for
I
sure.
don't want to deal with that. I dealt with the Crash 4. I don't want to deal with it again. Um, so yeah, I might give it a shot and try it out. Anyways, thanks for sharing. A couple of mine, because I think I had three, and they're all within the same generation actually. The sixth one I think for PS3 and Xbox 360. That was when I was just like, oh my gosh, it's just blown away. Um, so the first one was actually Gears of War, the original one.
Yeah.
When I saw my buddies play that at their because they had a 360 before I had a PS3, I think. I woke up one day I was spending the night at his house. I woke up one day they were playing it already. I think him and his older brother playing it, and I was like, "What the fuck is this? Like this is." I was like, "What? I've never seen anything like it." Right? I mean, granted, I wouldn't have played games like that anyways, but still, I was just like, "This is like the resolutions, the textures, like just the graphical fidelity. It, like I know it was just mainly grays and shit, but like it was good gray. They were pretty grays,
Yeah.
you know. I was like, holy crap! I mean, like the blood looked so much realistic for the time, and then like the monsters looked so real, and like the way the picture, like the camera was, and the movements and everything. I was like, what are we playing here? Like this it felt like the future. Like it really felt like the
Yeah.
future to me. Like it was nuts. And then when I got a PS3, and then I my first game I got was MotorStorm. Shout out to the
Yeah,
OGs that
they
know
had
MotorStorm.
some pretty
The
cool
first
stuff on
MotorStorm
Motorsport.
game was my first game I ever played for that generation on the PS3, and I played with actually Travis was there the same day I got it too, and we were playing it, and we because I played racing games before, but when I put that one in, I was like, this is next level. I could not believe it was insane. Like the mud graphics hitting your face or the screen. and it's just the way the players looked and the vehicles looked and the way they moved so like so buttery smooth. It was great. And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely in a next gen racing game for sure. And then the last one, Ratchet and Clank Tools of Destruction. It came out about a year after the system was out, but when I finally got it, I mean, everyone knows Ratchet and Clank's fucking gives me a boner every time I mention it. But when I put that game in, when I finally got it and I put it in like the system and I press start, I I couldn't help but have a smile on my face. It oh man, it was amazing. And so playing that, like just looking at the graphics and like all the bolts had like their own like gravity to them, and the boxes like when you hit them like pieces would fly individually, and I was like, oh my gosh, like just there were so many little details, and like the weapons look so highly detailed and everything. It like Ratchet, like Insomniac takes attention to detail to Ratchet and Clank's weapons like Forza does to their cars. You know, like just the little things that they put into each of the weapons to make it just more detailed and just more intricate. Man, it was nuts. My little 13-year-old brain was having just nerdgasms all over the place. Um, anyway, so that's us. Comment below what was a game that made you realize you were in the future of gaming. I would love to hear it. Anyways, let's move on to the main discussion here, the main topic. So, what David brought up to us, or to me, um, was so for those of you who know, Elden Ring is not Elder, it's Elden. I thought that was
Elden.
that was Elden, and I looked it up as Elden. Elden Ring, the network test or whatever dropped recently.
Closed network test.
Closed network test. Got to put the close because people are actually selling the codes now for people to
Oh
play.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, hey, capitalism finds a way. um, so the network codes have been dropping, or not dropping, but like they've been released. People are playing it. People have been giving out like videos of like how it is, impressions, blah blah blah. But David brought to my attention that there have been some feedback, some you could say complaints, negative criticism,
And
constructive criticism.
I would say basically where these complaints are coming from are not from the people who played it, but from people who were
Watching
watching the play of it.
watching the play. Well, I mean, because
Mhm.
well, that makes some sense because the people who there's going to be more people who can't play this than did, but
True.
but yeah, there's been a lot of feedback, negative feedback that the game visually is not up to people's standards. Now that could be because they didn't turn their YouTube settings to 1080p or 1440, 4K, but it's probably just because of the fact that it's just not what people expected. So we're going to talk about next gen expectations and whether they should like have these certain things, like have these higher graphics, or whatever can come with a next gen system. Should it have it or not? And I'll let David start this conversation.
Yeah,
What do
so
you think?
yeah, first off I just want to clarify a few things just on the Elden Ring situation. So like one, um like the people who have played it say that it feels like it is pretty much Dark Souls 4 just with, J.R. Martin's writing. And I mean, to me as a Dark Souls fan, cool. Like that was what I wanted. Like I didn't want, like we talked about before. I didn't want it to be another like Sekiro or Bloodborne to where it was like way different than Dark Souls. I wanted another Dark Souls. So for me, as soon as I heard it's Dark Souls 4, I was like, bet. Like that's what I want.
Say no more. I don't need to
and
be
and and
convinced.
the people that played it said that it was very reminiscent of Dark Souls 3, just smoother, just more well done, more animations. Like yeah, they reused a ton of animations, but there's the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So why would you go through the hell of reanimating tons of animations for a magic casting that so like there was a little bit, for me the complaints were a little bit unwarranted. Like all I wanted to know was, did it play well? And we're also talking about the first open world Souls game, So that in itself is a next gen thing. You have no loading screens, open world Dark Souls. Um, and yeah, the graphics are pretty much uh, uh, Dark Souls 3, but just in 4K or with 60 frames per second. So it's just a smoother looking. Um, for me, next gen, I think, and it's I think it's telling that both of us picked a game with our last question from the 360 PlayStation 3 generation. And I think that that is the last time, and maybe the last time we will ever see a large jump in graphical fidelity to the extent that it wows us. Because as technology goes, the farther you get in technology, the less and less jumps that it makes. So we went from 64-bit in the PlayStation, in the original Xbox, not 64, but around there.
No, it
PlayStation
was
2.
that's the N64, dude. I think the PS1 had 128
Okay,
bits.
whatever.
So
But
by that point, it
we
was just polygons, not bits.
polygons. Okay, fine, whatever. We went from polygons. Like I can remember Gran Turismo 2 and how Gran Turismo 2 looked. And then Gran Turismo 3 came out and it was fucking night and day. Like it wasn't even like,
Melted your face right off.
yeah. And that there was no jump. Like not there wasn't that kind of jump from the 360 to the Xbox One. And there was even less of a jump from the Xbox One to the Series X and so on. I just don't think we can expect those graphical stuff at the beginning of the generation, because it's about what it is about, at least graphically now. It's about optimization and milking the system later on when you know where you can push it. For me, what I want in next gen is I want it to be smooth. Um, I want it like load times. I feel is a next gen thing. I think uh, the quick load times is amazing. I think the more fine details of like lighting, shadows, the way water works, stuff that you might not necessarily realize right away, but just those fine details. I think that's what we're working on in the next generation. I just don't think we're going to get those wow moments in graphics um, anymore, especially in the first couple years of the generation. I don't think it's going to, and I don't think we should expect that. I'm just looking for good games.
I will say to you first, for the very first thing that you said about us, I mean, part of it's, we're a little bit older, we're both almost 30. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously we're probably going to choose something that's more reminiscent for us, but also because of the fact, your point was valid, but another thing to mention is that we were younger. With our examples that we mentioned, I was 13, right? For all of my examples.
Mm.
Obviously there's a little bit of like, when you're that young, it affects you harder, right?
Yeah,
And I
true,
imagine
true.
if we were 13 when we were shifting from the the PS3 to the PS4, we probably would be saying maybe something else, a different game, maybe around that time. Maybe.
Mm.
I'm not saying this for sure, but maybe, right? So obviously nostalgia and just where we were in our lives at the time plays a factor, but you're still not wrong about the jumps, the amount of the level of upgrade you'll get, because I mean, um like technology explodes very fast. I mean, you can look at phones. Phones are great examples. You know, they don't really improve drastically year to year.
Yeah.
They don't, and no
The
one would
the
argue that.
freaking iPhone like 8 looks the same as the new iPhones that are
Yeah, like
coming
if you're
out.
comparing year to year, there's not much difference. Obviously, if you compare the iPhone, whatever they're at now, 13, to an iPhone 5, okay, duh, yeah, of course, you'll see a huge change, but not from this year's to last year's. Um, and with like PS4 to PS3, yeah, there wasn't a huge difference graphically. And I remember the CEO, what's his name, Ted Fisher or something, the CEO of Insomniac, after they had dropped the Into the Nexus game in 2013, and we were nearing the PS4 launch, he said that he felt that like the studios, all studios that were under PlayStation or mixing it for PlayStation, they felt they actually hadn't tapped into the full power of the PS3,
Yeah.
let alone bring in this PS4 in, right? So I do agree that it does take time for devs to fully realize what they're working with. And so, and that's, I mean, and everyone knows it's a running thing now, that you got to be careful with the launch titles of any new system. They're usually not that great because they don't know what they're working with yet, and that's fine. Um, but I think, and I've said this before many times, maybe not on this podcast, but at least with you, that people, especially nowadays, we're so far into the gaming industry as a whole, it's like 30, 40, 50 years, not 70s, 72, almost 50 years, right? It's been around for a long time. When it comes to next gen, I don't think we need to, I think we need to stop focusing so much on how a game looks and I think we should focus our things on other aspects that can make a game a next gen title, right? And and the best example that I like to refer to, but it works, was when they first announced Tom Clancy's The Division. Everyone who was around that time remembers that preview at E3, I think it was. Everyone remembers that because, and if you don't know, guys, it's oh, what a simple time we lived in. But back in 2013, 14, whatever year that was for E3, Ubisoft was showing off The Division, which was like that year's big, huge ass thing before it sucked. But the preview had like an operator that's do like they're in a firefight, fighting around, whatever, shooting the baddies, whatever, and he's taking cover behind a cop car, and the passenger door was open, and he was right next to it, and when he walked towards it, the person just moved the door by itself. The character just the crowd lost their mind. I lost my mind. David doesn't like anything, so he didn't lose his mind. But everyone else lost their minds because we had never seen an AI do that on its own. It was always usually a button prompt that we had to do, or we just phased right through it because video games, right?
Well, and not only the door, but also like the bullets going through the windows affected the glass individually.
Oh yeah, like the individual bullet, it wouldn't like one bullet would just smash the window. Like no, because that doesn't always happen. Like one bullet just made a one hole, right? And it was just so it was a very impressive demo. Too bad the game sucked, but like that moment, like that's when I realized that was like my moment. I was like, this is the shit we should be trying to focus on. These type of little things, these type of things that you could not program into the last gen, system coding, whatever you want to call it. That's what we need to be focusing on. And I think that if we can have that, people won't bitch so much about how it looks. Because like if they could see that like you can do this, and this in this game, like on this system, and it's like, without a doubt that like, yeah, there's no way that could have happened on the previous system, then yeah, people like, okay, this may not look maybe like a human, like a real life human, but this is something I could not have had on the previous system. I can't do this. I can't do this function. The AI. There's no way the AI could have been this advanced. There's no way, like like you said with the water physics or water shading, whatever you said. There's no way they could have programmed something this sophisticated in the last system. And so I think we just need to shift the whole mindset as a whole gaming community to shift away. I mean, graphics are the easy thing because it's what you see, and that's the easiest thing. But I think we need to, and the devs need to focus on it. We need to focus on it. The journalists need to focus on it. Like, focus on the things that that are actually impressive. Like the systems that are actually impressive. Like, yeah, there's no way this could have been done last gen.
Yeah, I think
that's my thought on it.
Yeah, I think so things like I mentioned, like no loading times in this Elden. I'm pretty sure they've said it. I could be wrong, but like I think getting rid of loading times in an open world, or in any game where it's just a seamless world, is one of those next gen things that I think they're finally getting to. Things like facial animations, like really nailing a human face and the way it interacts. Like, I don't think, like, I'm not worried about, like skin looking more skin-like now.
No, it's the animation.
They got that down. I think hair is still one of those things that they're not.
Be good. That would be good
not
too.
Quite good on, but like facial animations, hair, the way the eyes move, facial mapping, that has come a long way. Just getting that in more games.
I think just body animation as a whole, I think would
Yeah,
fall into that. Just of
loading.
NPCs usually.
Yeah, again, loading times. I think AI getting better is really cool.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a good one.
again, a disappointing moment for Cyberpunk was that the AIs didn't have lives. They just stood there in the same spots for the entire time. So, like, making worlds more lifelike. Um, I think that, like you said, I think that's the focus. Those little things, making games bigger, but also not too big. That's more like game
Bigger, but
planning.
they got to think about it in different ways. Yeah, because no one wants just bloat for the sake of it.
Yeah.
I think there's a fine line, but that's like something on the developers they need to focus on. That's not something I think we can do anything about.
Another cool next gen thing that I think will start being used in more stuff, is so Flight Sim use Google Maps to, like, lay out the entire world, which that is another next gen thing that just, like, that I didn't talk about, that blew my mind. This
Yeah,
gen was fucking Flight Sim literally has the entire world. Like,
yeah. Didn't that game come out? Wait, did it come out later, earlier this year, or was it last year?
early this year.
Earlier this year. I
Yeah.
think that game's going to end up being a contender for Game of the Year, and
Like, it
it
should be
might
just
just.
for what it did,
I think
but
GameSpot gave it a perfect 10, or IGN did, or something,
it's ridiculous. You
or
can
if not a
fly.
9.
You can fly. No, only lunatics on YouTube would do this, but you can fly from Seattle, Washington, from SeaTac to Smith, the Smith Airport here in real time.
Like in 5 hours, like take five
Yeah,
hours
like,
to do it.
like, that's insane. Call of Duty tried something like this. They tried, so basically, there's a setting in Call of Duty. It doesn't work well. It actually really slows down the game. So it does. They didn't get it to work, but maybe they will. Where the AI of the game will search the internet for textures of, um, like, sand or sandbags or metal or something like that, and put it into the game in real time to, like, get a more
Well,
realistic
now I can
thing.
now I can see why it slowed down the system.
But it's slowed down the system. And if you don't have, like, and it's mainly because if you don't have high speed internet,
Yeah,
like really high speed
yeah,
internet,
it's gonna slow
it's
you.
not
It's
going
gonna
to
slow
work
you down.
right.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
should have just been baked.
But
It should have just been baked in the game right from the get go. That probably would have been better.
well, and yeah, you can turn it off and it'll just use the base assets
But still,
that
but
they
if you
have
want to
built
make
in.
it as realistic as possible, I don't know. But like that, I don't know why I forgot about Microsoft Flight Simulator. But like that is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, right? Okay, yeah, it looks good too, which is nice. But like it's not gonna. It's not going to blow anyone away. It's whatever, right? Unless you have like max res on your PC. But like for Xbox Series X users like yourself, it looks great. But what blows you away is knowing that, like, when you really think back, like, they mapped the whole goddamn globe, which I think I've heard is like over 10,000 kilometers in I thought how long it is. It's really long. Like, our world is big. Like, there's a lot of it around, you know. And when you even point out several times, like you have, like they even took the time to point out not just the big cities, little dinky ass towns like where you lived in, you know, and like my small city that's between Seattle and Tacoma, like it's probably there too. And like his little town he lives in now in Texas, you know, like the South has a lot of little small towns, you know. So like the fact that it got
Basically,
all
if
of
it's caught
those,
on Google Maps, it's in the game.
and it got
Like,
it, they didn't just do it. They didn't just do it. It's done with some good accuracy. I mean, they probably won't pay as much attention to your town you lived in than Seattle, but like it's not like just a piece of shit. Like you're like, oh, I recognize that building, that building. Like you said, I recognize there. Like they actually took so much detail, right? And like that was clear where it was like, okay, this would not work on the original Xbox One. There's no way. And if it did, it would look either like crap
I
or we'll be
am
missing a lot. of cities and
I
towns and
am
stuff.
super surprised that it works on the Series X. I don't know how. Like, and that's how powerful the Series X is,
Yeah,
because like it can't even work on the Series S. It doesn't work on the Series S
it
either.
doesn't.
Like, no, it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
It's a Series X
Exclusive.
only
Wow, I didn't know it was
exclusive.
a Series X exclusive.
Yeah, like
Damn,
it
son.
doesn't work on anything else. So like, and PCs, of course.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
that's crazy.
But
But yeah,
that's
just like
that's stuff I'm talking
I,
about. That's a perfect
yeah,
example.
I think people will always complain about graphics, because they spend, I spent fucking like
Too much money.
$500 for this machine. So
Uh-huh.
like, and I honestly, to this day, I haven't even, besides Microsoft Flight Sim, I haven't felt like this can only do it on this system.
Yeah.
Like, everything that I've played, I was like, oh, I could have done this on my Xbox One. Um, so yeah, I am waiting for it, and I have confidence that that moment will come. That there will be games that I'm just like, okay, now we're getting into the groove where it's this is I can't, I couldn't
Hmm.
go back,
Yeah.
anymore.
I mean,
I think you get to that point in each game generation where you're like, okay, I can't break out my Xbox 360 anymore.
yeah,
Like,
it's got to put it away now. But
yeah,
and I agree. And that's kind of why I've been tweeting about, like, that's, we should stop focusing on the graphic. I mean, we want it to look good. We don't want our eyes to burn. But like, there's only so much we can do. I mean, you said that, you used to say this to me all the time. Like, you felt a long time ago that we were at the pinnacle of what we could hit with graphics. If only thing we're going to get now is just marginal improvements, and I agree. I think it's like the smaller things. Like, instead of focusing on the graphics as a whole, focus on the finer details. Like you mentioned, facial animations. We already have the
mm,
facial textures. They look good. We've seen plenty of tech demos. I mean, they got the textures looking good. I think it's more of like, okay, then just translate that to all your NPCs now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that'll make your city more lived in when you actually take care of the people around the city that you're putting your character in. If you want me to feel like I'm in the city, well, then make the characters look real and give them real animations, real movements, real, like, I mean, we don't know them. We're not gonna talk to them, but like, they seem like they have a purpose. They seem like they're going about something, like they actually wanted to do whatever you catch them doing, right? Um, and getting the, I mean, the facial animations would be big for me. I'm huge on facial animation. I'm actually, like, I kind of do it subconsciously, and I do it more so when you have like the more human realistic characters rather than like animated characters. But like, I'm always checking to see, like, how do the lips move? How are they moving? Right? Are they moving somewhat realistically? And
mm,
that's a huge thing for me, especially since, I mean, I got deflowered from that a long time ago with Heavenly Sword. That facial animations they put into that game are still, I've said before, they are the best. I hold those facial animations in the highest regard, especially given the fact they came out like in '06. You
yeah.
know, um, it's just ridiculous, like what they did, and like that's the stuff we should be expecting. Not so much the graphics. We need to be expecting all these little things, all these other things. Like David said, to get that feeling where I cannot play this on my last gen system, and part of that, as far as, at least with this generation, of course, I mean, we're still in the generational shift. The game system's only been out a year. You're gonna have that. That's to be
And
expected.
it's been delayed with all this, COVID and
But
shipping,
COVID has now pushed this
stuff.
out. It's now drastic. So like, normally we have to wait three years about before we start getting dedicated games for these systems, like, consistently, and like we're really seeing, like, okay, now we're seeing what these systems can do. But it might be like four, maybe even five, depending on how long this drags out. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
if you heard, but Sony announced that they actually are like shortening their production or something. So on PS5s, probably
Mhm.
because either they can't find the parts or they can't find the
Oh yeah,
work to
the
do it.
shipping crisis is
But
still just fucking everything up.
well, yeah, that's been going for. But Sony officially put out a statement yesterday or today saying, like, they're actually halting production on PS5s. So I mean, it's going to be even harder, if not impossible, to get a PS5 this holiday season, as if it wasn't already. So it's going to take a long time. But like, that's kind of why I brought up a while ago. I don't know if it was on the podcast or here, or sorry, or with talking to you just privately, about like Sony's big exclusives that are coming out in the next year or two. They're all crossplay, or not crossplay, they're all cross plat, PS4, PS5. And I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not mad because obviously all the situations going on. I get it, but it does make me wonder, what are we missing out on? You know what I mean? Because it's really hard to divert a team to just building the last gen build and the next gen build. I'm sure there'll be some things, like for instance, we'll use Horizon Forbidden West. I don't remember the name of the next one. I'm sure there'll be a couple things.
Forbidden West.
I'm sure there'll be a couple things that I can only do on the PS4 version, but like by and far, it probably won't be that much spectacularly different than PS4 version, and it just makes you wonder, what could they have really done? If because like you don't want to make it too drastic because you don't want to piss off the PS4 fan base, which there's a lot more of them than the PS5. So it makes me kind of just like, what if? Like makes me stand on a ledge, just look out to the sunset, and just ask myself, what if? You know what I mean? I'm sure. I mean, Xbox has had the same thing. Like, isn't Forza Horizon also on the Xbox One?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's on the Xbox One too.
Yeah.
But that being said, like, and that's when we kind of get into this graphics thing. That's like, even if it wasn't like, and that I actually was curious. So like, I was really looking forward to God of War on the PlayStation 5 only, because I was really going to let's look at the graphics between God of War the reboot and God of War Ragnarok, because I was really interested to see what the difference was. And now, of course, if there isn't a difference, then people can say, "Oh, well, it was because it was made for both, and there was compromises." I was really looking forward to that because that wasn't going to be the case. So you could really say, like, okay, how much of a step is the PlayStation 5 graphically?
Yeah. I mean, well, with that game also could have been a case of like what you've said before about like, because God of War 2018, god damn, like that is a beautiful game. Like they took those details. Like, that's a game where that couldn't have been on PS3. Absolutely, no way,
Oh, no,
no
of
way.
course not. No.
I imagine if that was a PS5 exclusive, I'd imagine I'd be looking not just necessarily like, oh, it just looks amazing. I'd be looking like, okay, let's see, like, are those facial animations good? Are the eye animations good? Like, does it look like he has individual strands of beard hair because he has no hair? Like, does he actually have like individual strands of hair? Like when I'm sure he's going to have some spats with Atreus, because of course he is. Like, is he gonna act? Is he gonna kind of move and like have the proper animation you would expect from a 13-year-old or however old he is, some teenager having a tantrum? Like looking at like that's what I'd be looking at, and I think we could still look at that, some of those things when it comes out eventually. But yeah, I mean, like, but then again, like when you think of the bigger things though, like the gameplay wise, or maybe lore wise, or world building wise, what could they have done if it was just a PS5 game?
I don't know if lore building and stuff like that.
I shouldn't have said lore. I meant world building. World building, not lore building. I meant like just how maybe like traverse around the world.
Okay, yeah. Like,
I meant to
is
say
it
world.
seamless? Is there load screens?
Just like what are they going to do with the world that they're giving us?
I get that.
I should have said that. That's what I meant instead. But
I got you.
And it still might. We'll never know. I mean, because maybe the PS4 is the same situation that the CEO of Insomniac said about the PS3. Maybe we haven't even seen the full potential of the Xbox One and the PS4. Maybe.
Probably not.
Who knows? I mean, to see how good a game like Last of Us looked on the PS3 in 2013, or Rise of the Tomb Raider came out for 360. And I actually saw some footage of that. And that game looked amazing for last like end of the year. Like that came out 2014, I think, and that game looked amazing. So to see what they were able to do that was somewhat comparable to what the PS4 and the Xbox One were able to do, at least in their early days. Maybe it can. Like maybe the PS4 and Xbox One have some more juice that they haven't been tapped into, and maybe the comparisons will be, they don't have to be compared, maybe because we haven't even seen what they could really do, at least graphically, not like mechanically or maybe AI and textures, and maybe not with that stuff, but at least just looking at the game, maybe we don't even know.
Yep.
But I still think people should stop talking about graphics so much and focus on the better things, that because you can have a next gen game without it having with beyond just how it looks. Because if that's all you're looking for, first of all, that's very vain of you. You should be ashamed of yourself. But secondly, it's like you're not respecting or appreciating everything else that the game can offer you. You know, and I really hope that's the case with. But like, hold on, no, I should say the one genre that I feel that graphics argument is justified in is with like anime games, because they are notoriously like low. Like I don't like how they look. They don't ever look that great ever. And I'm not talking one just based on anime. It's just the anime style. Like Scarlet Nexus or Code Vein or the Tale
They're always
series.
a little weird, yeah.
They never look
Like,
that good. I'm like, why? There's no reason why you couldn't. Like I know it's animated. They can still look really good. Like I don't get it. But I had someone show me Tales of Arise, the latest one,
yeah.
and the character models still look whatever. But the world looks really, really good. Like some friend of mine showed me like screenshots, and one of it was like with some grass and everything, like a whole meadow. And I was like, hot damn. Like I didn't know they could make games this good. Usually they're like whatever, right? And I was like, this looks like a next gen JRPG. This is what I expect. Like not necessarily how the character models might look, because you get what you get with those kind of games, but like this can tell me like, okay, this definitely looks like a next gen game for this
Mhm.
genre, at least for this genre type of game. So like I'm saying, like it's not necessarily on just the general graphics overall. It can be on other little things, just how like people like lost their shit over Ghost of Tsushima's grass physics. You know what I mean? Like that's something
Yeah.
that may not have been able to be done on the PS3. So like it's just looking at the other things. Be a more well-rounded gamer, people. Appreciate the little things in your games, not just them graphics. So that's my sermon for the day.
For sure. Well, guys, just thanks for joining us again for another episode. Listening to me and RJ just bullshit about stuff. Leave a comment down below on what you look for in next gen. Like, what's your expectations of this generation? Are you expecting any kind of graphical? When are you expecting it, or do you look for other things now? So, kind of what we were thinking about. We'd love to hear what you think down in the comments below.
Pretty much all of that exactly. And I pray for everyone to hopefully get a next gen system. Maybe not this year, but within the next year. And yeah, guys. So like David said, put a like down, throw up a like, throw up a comment if you want to say something or answer. Tell us what you feel about what we said. And if you like what you saw here, what you listened to or watched or whatever, hit us up with a subscribe so you can see more content we put out. We do this show weekly on Sundays, once a week, but every other day during the week we put out a regular Let's Play style video of me and my other friend Travis, where we kind of just don't really play games around. We kind of more just laugh hysterically at whatever's in front of our face. But yeah, guys. So with that, we will see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us. Bye.